For Dan Weber, I'm Johnie Freatman, bringing you instant analysis from the LA Memorial Coliseum following a 38-17 USC win over Arizona State. And Dan, it was really a tale of two halves as far as the defense goes. Held Arizona State to 3 points in the second half. What do you think was key to them accomplishing that?
Well, they started playing faster. They started accounting for the quarterback, pressuring the quarterback, making him make every play under pressure. Basically started tackling everybody instead of just reading and kind of reacting. I thought they did a lot of good things. It looked like two different defenses. I mean, in the first half, they looked a little bit of that Oregon where the entire team is trying to read the option and just, react to it. Second half, basically, they just came through and said, we're going to tackle everybody, and I thought they did just a terrific job. They're really thrilled about how they played the second half, and they should be. Coach Orgeron was also quite happy. He said, no doubt. He said that was a different team the second half.
One of the other storylines that second half was the play of Curtis McNeil with the team up. They went to him a lot more, and he had a lot of success. What do you think that says about him that with Silas read out, he was able to step up and shoulder such a load on the offensive end?
Well, the nice thing everybody said was he had by far the best week of practice, and he got 31 carries, I think just one for negative yardage. When you needed a guy, he stepped up, and yet, he talked about it. He said, I don't really care about the individual stats. He said, what I really cared about today was that we got a W, and you can just tell he really means it. They got a W, and that's what they needed.
Mark,
I will say this, talking about getting the W needed, Lane Kiffin had a really good thought when he said, we're leaving at halftime, and I saw a kid from Arizona State that I know, and we're going up the tunnel getting booed. And the kid from Arizona State kind of looked at me like, gosh, you're tired, and they're still booing you. But I thought Lane said the most, basically explain where this is right now. He said, can you imagine the conversation we'd be having? The second half would have went the other way, would have gone the other way, and we'd be the team that didn't show up for the second half. That would have been very difficult to get through. So I think he was extremely relieved that this team didn't. Here's a game that's kind of in between. They had a national game last week. They've got their arch rivals coming up next week. This is sort of the between game, and teams don't have to recover from the way they started, but they did, and credit to them, the players. I think this was a players' game, and I really liked the way USC's players rose to the occasion in the second half.
Speaking of Lane, his offensive play calling pretty much revolved around Marquise Lee, especially in the first half, as well as Lee played, and he had a spectacular game. Do you think this could create problems in the future if there's kind of a myopic focus in the passing game?
Well, I don't know about that, but I do think it was interesting. I asked Lane, were you trying to do some specific things for Robert? And he said, absolutely. That first play in the second half, the one that turned out so badly, was a little slip screen going the other direction, trying to get the ball to Robert right away, and it turned into an interception. So, there was a case where they were maybe focused on getting it to Robert, and that didn't turn out so well either. As to what can they do to get the ball to Robert, as Lane said, I don't think I've got a good answer for that. We're just not having much success getting the ball to Robert, and we're thinking about it. And he said, Robert's a competitor. He's a big-time pass receiver. He'd like to see the ball, and you can tell that it bothers him a little bit. Although Matt said he handles it really well, but it's going to be an interesting thing to watch.
Dan, lastly, we've talked a lot about that second half. Do you think that could be sort of a turning point here late in the season where that really sparked a lot of momentum and could lead to greater things?
Well, I think the thing you hope it does is it allows them to turn the game over, especially on defense, to the players. Let the players play. Just say, go get them, boys. Your game, we trust you, go get them. Don't get all locked into, who's supposed to do what? Am I supposed to hand this guy off, blah, blah, blah? What am I supposed to be reading? Just play football. Play football. They're good enough if they're just allowed to play football.
All right, Dan. Well, thank you very much. For Dan Weber, I'm Johnie Freatman. This has been Instant Analysis. For more information, log on to uscfootball.com.